Hello children, this is Miss Gloria from New Life Church. I didn't make a lesson last week because I was traveling. I have a new baby grandson and I wanted to see him. And in order to travel, we had to go a long ways. First we had to fly on an airplane. Here's the airport we flew out of. It's in Texas. And we flew on the airplane and we went all the way clear to England, which is where my son is living now with his wife and their 2-year-old son and my baby grandson. But once we got to England, that wasn't enough. Then we had to go on a train. Here's what the train station looks like. After we got on the train, we finally got there. And of course, all the way we were going, we had to have our luggage with us too. We had to pack things that we had to take with us. The most important thing we had to take with us was our passport, our papers to prove who we were. We had to take some other things too. We had to take some clothes, we had to take some money. We need all kinds of things when we're traveling. So we're going to play a game right now. And this game is going to be, I'm going to talk about something you might pack to go on some kind of a trip. And you have to decide whether you want to take the thing, but you won't know what kind of a trip it is. So for instance, if I said a sleeping bag, and you said, yes, I'll take that sleeping bag. And I said, we're going to go camping. Then you'd be like, yay, I picked the right thing. So let's see if you can figure out which things you want to take with you. What if I said a box of matches? If you were going camping, you might want a box of matches to maybe light a fire. Do you want to take the box of matches? Yes or no? Well, what if I told you that the trip we were going on was to go see a volcano? Maybe you wouldn't want to have a box of matches with you when you're going to go see a volcano. Let's try another one. What about a roll of toilet paper? There are some countries where when you go there, they don't actually have any toilet paper in the bathroom. You have to take your toilet paper with you. Do you think we need to take our toilet paper on this adventure? Yes or no? Well, what if the adventure was skydiving? I don't think you would want a roll of toilet paper with you when you were skydiving. I mean, maybe it might be fun to unroll the whole roll of toilet paper while you were dropping out of the sky, but I don't think so. Here's another one. What about a can opener? You think you might want to take the can opener? What if I told you that we were taking the can opener with us, the trip we were going on was to compete in a spelling bee to see who was the best speller? I don't think you would need a can opener for that, probably. Let's try another one. What about a worm? Would you want to take a worm with you on your adventure? Yes or no with a worm? Well, what if we were going fishing? If we were going fishing, you might want the worm. So maybe you would want a worm. How about another one? What about a scuba mask? What about a scuba mask? Well, if I told you we were going scuba diving, you'd be like, yay, I brought a scuba mask. That would be the best thing. What about if I said a fishing pole? Yes or no? You can take the fishing pole? Well, we already did fishing. Suppose I said we were going mountain climbing. Probably you wouldn't want a fishing pole if you were going mountain climbing. What about a hula hoop? Would you want to take a hula hoop with you? Well, a hula hoop is kind of fun, but isn't terribly useful. If I said we were going sailing, then probably you wouldn't want to have a hula hoop. What about a dozen eggs? Eggs are pretty hard to carry, but maybe if you wanted to cook them, maybe you would want them. But what if I said, we're going to go stand-up paddleboarding? I don't think you want to take the eggs with you when you're going stand-up paddleboarding. Let's see, what else? What about a sleeping bag? Would you want to take your sleeping bag with you? What if I said we were going skiing? Well, I guess it would depend on where you were going skiing. Most places you were going skiing, you don't stay outside. So you probably wouldn't want the sleeping bag. But I think there are some places where if you had a super, super warm sleeping bag, you might want to take it with you when you were skiing. What about ice skates? Do you want to pack ice skates with you? Well, if we were going to the snow, maybe. What if I said we were going to trampoline place? Oh, you certainly wouldn't want ice skates when you were at a trampoline place. What about a life jacket? What if I said, oh, we're going to take a life jacket? Do you want to take the life jacket? Well, What if our adventure was to go tubing on a river? Then you probably would want a life jacket. That would be a good one. What about a kitten? Would you want to take a kitten? Well, kittens are great. But I don't know if you want to take a kitten on most kinds of adventures. And if we were going dog sledding, I don't think a kitten is what you would want. I think you would want a dog. So you see, sometimes it's hard to be prepared. You don't really know what things you need until you know where it is that you're going to be going. And in our Bible story today, we're going to hear about some people who went on a trip and did not take with them the things they need. And we'll see what happened about that. So I had to stop the video and go away and get the things that I needed in order to tell our story today. I didn't have everything I needed. I had to go get some of those things I needed. And we're going to hear a Bible story about some people who went off somewhere without bringing with them the things that they needed. Let's see what happened. In the beginning of our story, Jesus was in a boat. And it says, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. See, the people saw where Jesus was going in a boat, and they all followed him. They wanted to see Jesus, which of course was really important, especially if they had sick people they wanted Jesus to heal. Let's see what happened next. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowd away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." So you see, the people had come out here, but they hadn't necessarily all brought food with them. Probably some people had remembered to bring food. Most of them had not brought food. They were so desperate to hear Jesus and to bring their sick people to him, they hadn't brought any food with them. So let's see what Jesus says to his disciples. Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." You give them something to eat? What do you suppose the disciples said to that? They probably had a little bit of food with them, but enough food for 5,000 people? Let's see how much food they had. "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. So all they had was 5 loaves of bread. And we're not talking about huge loaves of bread like you make a sandwich. We're talking about little bitty loaves of bread like you could carry around with you. So 5 little loaves of bread and 2 little fish. That's about, well, it's kind of a generous lunch for one person. Maybe one person could share it, but that's all they had. So let's think about how much food they would need to have to feed 5,000 people. I have a pizza box here. This box is not a large pizza, but it's a pizza box. If we had a large pizza, how many people do you think you could feed with a pizza? Well, if it was a large pizza, maybe you could feed 4 people, maybe 4 people with pizza. So let's see, 4 people. So if you wanted to feed 100 people, let's figure this out. 4 times 25 equals 100 people. So that'd be 25 pizza boxes to feed 100 people. But we don't want 100 people, we want 1,000 people, which is 10 times as many. So that would be 250 pizza boxes. But that's only for 1,000 people. We've got 5,000 people, so we need to do 5 times 250. Let's see, 2 times 250 is 500. So, well, I'll just do it this way. Math, 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10. 1,250 pizza boxes. So if you stacked up all those pizza boxes, how high do you think it would be? Let's see how big the pizza box is. I have a measuring tape here to find out how big my pizza box is. This is not a big pizza box, but big pizza boxes are pretty much the same height as smaller pizza boxes. Let's find out how tall it is. It's 2 inches tall. So that means if we had 1,250 pizza boxes, that would be, is that another 1,250? 2,500 or 2,500 inches. How many feet is that? 12 into 2,500. That's twice. That's 24. That leaves 10. Doesn't go in there, so 0. So 100. 12 into 100 is, let's see, 12 times 6 is 60, well, 12 times 5 is 60. So if 12 times 5 is 60, then maybe 7, let's try that. 7 12s is 70 plus 2. Let's see. 7, 84. I guess we can get another one in there. So another 12 would be like 96. So that's like 8. So 208 feet plus a little bit. 208 feet. So 208 feet, let's see, how long is that in yards? So if we divide by 3, 3 into 208, so let's see, that's 6, 18, 28, that's about 69. So that's like almost 70 feet of pizza boxes. 70 feet high.
Yards.
Oh yeah, 70 yards high, right? Not feet, it was feet before. 70 yards high. So 70 yards high. How high is a building usually? So I'm going to ask my husband, how high is one story of a building? Do you know?
About 10 feet.
About 10 feet. So if we had 2,500 feet, that means 250. That's like a 250 story building of pizza boxes. 25 story building of pizza boxes. A 25 story building of pizza boxes. That's still pretty big. That's like a skyscraper. So 25 stories of pizza boxes. How could Jesus possibly feed that many people with his 5 little loaves and 2 fishes? Let's see what happened. It says here, "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. So each of the 12 disciples had a basket full of leftovers over that was even more than they started with. How could Jesus possibly do that? Well, the answer, of course, is that Jesus is the Son of God, and that God knows what we need, and God will give us what we need. And so we don't need to worry about things. Sometimes we worry about what will happen in the future, whether we'll have enough food, whether things will be all right for us, what will happen to us. But we don't really need to worry because God knows what we need. God provides for us. That's what we're learning from the Bible, that it says about God, that God is our provider.